right, all right, all right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! Mic in a room, built from boots on the ground. Now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound. Turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Authors with truth, musicians with fire. Actors backstage, chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back. If you fell to your knees, but you stayed on track. This is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight, to the end. We are the MisFitNation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up, this is our song. Yeah, this is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chain, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed. That's the MisFit play. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. It's Aubrey right now. We're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We're the MisFitNation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fight, to the end. We are the MisFitNation. Every voice is vindication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home, you belong.
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation and your Sunday after dinner edition. We are live again from Leesville, Louisiana. That's right. Studio A has moved south just for hopefully a temporary period. I know you watched NASCAR today. You watched WNBA yesterday, the All-Star game. Corey Hahn with his first win today in NASCAR. Congratulations to Corey, his 15th race, first victory, doing great things out there in Indianapolis. But tonight on MisFitNation, we're honored to welcome a leader whose journey proves that true strength isn't just forged on the battlefield, it's discovered within ourselves. Our guest, Sonya Achara, served our nation for 14 years as United States Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant, leading Marines through some of the most demanding environments imaginable. But after leaving the military and ending a toxic relationship at the same time, she found herself facing a battle that many veterans and countless others know all too well, rediscovering who they are beyond survival mode. Instead of allowing trauma to define her future, she immersed herself in understanding the nervous system, emotional intelligence, subconscious conditioning, and the science of human potential. Today, she's helping veterans, leaders, and high performers break free from those limiting beliefs, heal from unresolved trauma, and reconnect with purpose, resilience, and authentic leadership. She's the founder of the Human Potential Project and the author of Remember Who You Are, My Journey to Higher Consciousness. Tonight, we'll explore the hidden impact of trauma that leadership looks like beyond rank, how emotional intelligence can transform lives, and why remembering who you truly are may be the most important mission you'll ever undertake. So please join me in welcoming United States Marine Corps veteran, author, speaker, and transformational leader, Sonya Achara. Welcome, Sonya.
Hey, Rich. Thank you for that intro.
Woo!
That was awesome.
Hey, no problem. I'm here for you. I can do your opening for your show as you want to.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. And I think we waited about a month after I reached out to you to get you on here. So this is awesome to have you here and learn a little bit more about you from your time in the Corps to that break from the Corps and break from that toxic relationship to how you redefine yourself now, growing your life now, your business, your authorship, your speakership. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit more about you and what led you to the Marines, and what made you come out after 14.
Okay, so so a little bit about me. I feel like what kind of led me to the Marines was actually my childhood. I I actually had a pretty rough childhood, and I feel like the one thing I was constantly looking for was a family outside of family, just because I just never felt like I was truly loved. I never felt like I had that family support that was supposed to be there. And so I was kind of starting. I was looking for that outside of outside of my own family, and that kind of led me. I mean, at first it led me to athletics, and my life became sports at a young age. And
Yeah.
then once I actually had a once I had a it was a situation in my I ended up going to college, and I ran track for San Diego State University. So I ended up getting cut from the team at the end of that. Basically, at the end of that, it was towards the end of my senior year there, and the fact that I got cut kind of devastated me, and I didn't really tell anybody about it. I was embarrassed about it, and it took me a year to kind of soul search and figure out what I wanted to do. And the Marine Corps was literally like the first thing that came to mind when it was like, okay, join the service. Like, which one would I join? The Marine Corps, because to me, if I was gonna join, I just wanted to join the toughest branch, and I thought I was this badass female that was gonna be able to go in and kick butt.
And then what happened?
And then once I joined the Marine Corps, to be honest, boot camp actually wasn't that bad for me. I guess I feel like I had been yelled at and talked down to my whole life, so I was like, "Oh, this is not that bad."
It's easy.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really bothered me was like the lack of freedom. But I feel like I was one of those leaders early on in my platoon. I came in 2010, so it was a female only platoon. And so I actually was one of the leaders that was physically fit. I was probably one of the most in shape females there. And I was kind of there for the other females, like helping others get through it. And that's kind of what helped me get through it too, is just like helping others push through that. But once I was actually through boot camp and all of that, I was a radio operator in the Marine Corps. That was my main job, MOS. And I actually didn't like my MOS that much. I originally wanted Intel, but the recruiter convinced me, he convinced me to go radio. And I was just like, you know what, I just want to be a Marine, so let's do it. And so I did spend a lot of time doing our extracurriculars, like I became a black belt martial arts instructor for the Marine Corps, and I was very active with it. I was actually actively teaching it, and I became a marksmanship coach, so I was coaching on the range. I was pretty good at shooting too, so I ended up being on one of the battalion's shooting teams.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so what else? So I was a recruiter for 3 years. I did recruiting duty, which was that was a challenge in itself. Um, that's another thing too. I realized on recruiting duty that I just hated talking to people, and I was like, what? I was like, I do not want to go out and talk to people and try and convince these people to join. and I was taking a lot of rejection. I was taking the rejection personally, and I took it personally for the first 6 months. I was doing really bad on recruiting duty, and there was one leader that kind of turned it around for me, and he told me, he was like, well, he didn't say Sonya. He said Schmidt, which was my last name back then. Um, he was like, you are a badass. So, uh, like you've been a martial arts instructor. You did bodybuilding. That was another thing I did while I was in like bodybuilding competitions. So you need to go sell yourself, and don't not care what any of these kids say or think. And so it kind of switched something in me to change my perspective a bit and just have fun with it, not take it personally. And I started getting kids to come to the physical trainings, and I was getting into the schools more and doing combat fitness tests with the kids. So in the end, I was able to. I actually was one of the best recruiters out there in that last year, just because I had done a lot of work in the first 2 years, like getting into the schools and just like training these poolies to become, uh, to be able to get through boot camp. And I was just very, I've always been very like intense, and so like physical training was always my thing, and like slaying them. But then I've also been very like motivational at the same time. I've listened to like motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, uh, just different people like that throughout my whole career while I was in. And I kind of started giving motivational speeches to the Marines, to the police when I was on recruiting duty. And that kind of became part of me. I took it back to the fleet and was doing that with my Marines while I was at Ninth Com Battalion. I ended up becoming a company gunny and kind of making my name a name for myself at that unit. And I didn't realize though this whole time I was kind of single the whole time while I was in the Marine Corps, and I kept blaming different things like, oh, it's hard being a female Marine, and when it comes to dating, because everyone's married, and all these different things. But I didn't realize I had a lot of subconscious patterns from childhood that was kind of blocking me. I was hyper independent. That came from childhood. And these are just subconscious patterns I'm naming that I have learned about myself. I obviously became more hyper vigilant while I was in the Marine Corps as well. Um, but I had always kind of been hyper vigilant because I felt growing up as a woman in general, and I know men have their own hyper vigilance. But for me, it was like I always had to avoid certain situations, like dark alleys, just different things like that. Played a part in my life to just kind of keep myself out of situations I didn't want to get myself into. Um, and then I went on even in the Marine Corps and through deployment. I did deploy to Afghanistan once for 8 months. And while I was out there, there was just a lot of, I was on Camp Dwyer, but there was a lot of like hearsay about things that could pop off. And so there was a lot of hypervigilance around that, and just like always being prepared for whatever could come. And like I feel like I was running through scenarios over and over on like what I would do if something happened. Like I have to be there was only a few females on that base, and I was like kind of deducing like, okay, out of all the females that are here, I'm gonna have to be the one to take lead and be like, okay, this is what we gotta do, this is where we gotta go. And it was just constantly replaying stuff like that in my head. But as time went on, my last duty station was it was a force. I was a force fitness instructor trainer at the Martial Arts and Fitness Center of Excellence. It had always been called the MACE, the Martial Arts Center of Excellence, but it switched and changed to the martial arts and fitness because they started adding the force fitness and actually we were creating instructors that could actually like help Marines on a deeper level, like be able to help prevent injury, take care of their bodies better. We even taught like anatomy, physiology, biomechanics. Yeah, like some pretty intense physical stuff. We were teaching like proper form and how you're supposed to properly run and just different things like that. Um,
And where was the recruiting duty at? What state were you in for that?
so recruiting duty, I recruited in Kansas. It was Olathe, Kansas. So it's kind of like the city area of Kansas, but I had never been there before, so I didn't know what to expect at first.
A whole lot in Kansas. So
Yeah, I was thinking like cornfields and like yeah, but that's my
I was stationed.
assumptions.
I was stationed in Fort Riley for 6 years.
Okay.
I went there kicking and screaming because I didn't know why they were sending me there. I was kind of shocked that they sent me there. I thought it was closed. I didn't know what was out there. And they got their claws on me and kept me there for 6 years.
Mm.
Stop! Let me go, please. Let me leave. Let me leave.
Yeah.
I was in a hostage situation for 6 years, but I learned a lot there. I learned a lot about me and a unit and things, how far you can push your body there, especially going to war from there. Learned a lot about ourselves. Kansas is takes a lot to get used to. I'm sure it was a lot of fun becoming a recruiter and going to a place you've never even been to.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely it was hard. It was really hard at first. It was definitely one of the most challenging things I've done in my in my life, my career.
And then where'd you go from there? Back to the East Coast or back to the West Coast as a
Yeah, so I guess the timeline would have been like first it was Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, then it was recruiting in Kansas, then it was Ninth Com, which was in Camp Pendleton, California, then it was Virginia for the Martial Arts and Fitness Center of Excellence.
okay? Ah, so you got some good moves in there. I mean, 14 years plus a trip to Afghanistan there as well. So you
Hmm.
got a lot some frequent flyer miles. Packed your
Yeah,
bags a few
definitely.
times. Where was Camp Dwyer? What province was that in?
So Camp Dwyer was in Helmand Province.
Okay, it was home.
Yeah, there was Camp Dwyer and Camp Leatherneck, but Camp Leatherneck was like the bigger base. Camp Dwyer was a smaller base.
Yeah, I was trying to picture where Dwyer was, and I knew you guys. It had to be Helmand because that's where the Marines lived.
Hmm.
Unless it
Yeah.
was some kind of staff job up at Bagram. Most of y'all were in Helmand, so I couldn't picture Dwyer for some reason.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It was hot. It was just the most desert area I've ever seen. And it felt like I was like walking in an oven.
Oh wow, yes.
It got super hot because I was there for the summertime.
And the moon dust on the ground coming up in your face. All
Hmm.
a lot of fun walking there. I was in Kandahar, which is next door.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's,
I actually stopped in Kandahar for a couple of days on the way.
yeah, it's usually the rest stop or the flight stop for you guys, and then jump on
Hmm.
helicopter from there to go in. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
get, I
good.
guess, acclimated.
Yeah.
Yes. So overall, you spent 14 years leading Marines as a gunny. Looking back today, what leadership lesson from your time in the Corps has become even more meaningful now that you're a civilian years later?
So I feel like for me, um, I kind of I kind of turned away from the leadership style of like yelling and talking down to Marines. That was like in the beginning of my career, they kind of pushed on us to be like, and I just didn't really agree with it. And then, especially going on recruiting duty, I couldn't yell at anybody or force anybody to join.
Right.
Like, I had to learn how to actually really be a leader and, you know, like just be the example that people would want to be like. So, like, okay, yeah, I want to join because of how she carries herself and how she is as a Marine, how she cares about people, and actually, you know, caring about your Marines, your police, whatever it was. I would care about them and their families, and they could tell by the way that I did things and the consistency that I showed. And so for me, I felt like the Marine Corps really um, formed my leadership because I mean, I saw good leaders and I saw bad leaders, and I'll be honest, I saw a lot more bad or indifferent leaders. And I don't want to call them bad. I don't want to. So even though I feel like people they have a choice. They can either choose to pass on how they've been treated, or they can choose to treat people better. And so people are just working off of their own subconscious patterns from whether it was childhood or just the military that kind of installed it into you.
Definitely.
Um,
Amongst those leaders you just mentioned, was there one or maybe more than one that stood out as great mentors?
yeah, so I will say I have at least I have a handful, maybe five leaders that I met throughout the Marine Corps that stood out to me of what I wanted to be like, and I definitely gravitated towards those type of leaders. And I still talk to a couple of those leaders to this day. Um, it's more of like a friendship. I think it evolved from a mentorship to just a friendship now, and you know we're able to kind of like learn from each other and bounce things off of each other. So I feel like leadership is really about how you treat people and staying humble too.
But that's a hard thing for some leaders to grasp. Like that you mentioned earlier about evolving as a leader. And
Hmm.
indeed, I came in at a time when you still had a lot of your senior NCOs were guys and gals who were trained by Vietnam veterans.
Hmm.
We had that in your face, knife hand, yelling at you all
Hmm.
day long. 'Cause that's the only thing they knew. It was put into them. That's how you train. And so put into my generation, that's all we knew at first.
Hmm.
For the first 8 years of 8 or 9 years of my career, that's all I knew how to do is just go from zero to hero. If someone did something wrong, I went from zero to hero, going crazy on them instead of trying to figure
Yeah.
out the core of the problem and
Hmm.
trying to work what the problem is instead of going nuts on them. I should have worked that problem. I learned that over time,
Hmm.
and I evolved as a leader. And I met soldiers who I had early in my career, later in my career. I said, "What happened to you, son? You changed so much." I figured out what leadership really is. I learned
Hmm.
how to be a true leader, how to mentor people. Instead of destroy them, I learned how to build them up and teach them from those mistakes that they make and make them better people and make
Hmm.
myself a better person along the way. That's one of the most valuable lessons I learned as I went through my career in the Army.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, definitely.
So that's something I mean I can tell you grasped at a lot of that, and you also grasped at that family thing because when you had those mentors, you said family earlier, why you joined the Corps, try to find that sense of family, that sense of sisterhood, brotherhood, and then you had those mentors that gave you that feeling, hey, yeah, you belong, and they wanted you to belong.
Hmm.
They still to this day
Yeah,
want you to
yeah.
belong. Still, they're just one phone call away. And I think that's the best part of the military is that one phone call away thing, in the veteran sphere especially. Everyone
Hmm.
thinks, oh, it's over. But we can walk into anywhere and meet another veteran, and all of a sudden it's back on. You're
Yeah,
back on, and it goes a little crazy sometimes, but it's still on. You still do
yeah,
good things for God and country at that point.
yeah,
You,
exactly.
you just transitioned 3 years ago, so it's a lot fresher for you now, and you're still in it's like the new car smell still for you coming out, and only 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's so crazy because it was only 3 years ago that I transitioned, but I feel like a completely different person now than when I was in. Um, and I really attest that to a lot of the inner work that I've been doing over the last 3 years. That I kind of realized I had to do as soon as because it was a lot. It was a lot at that last command. It was like
Ah,
because the command, was there was this one particular leader that was kind of just after me, and I just didn't know why at the time. Like why is he just after me? And then I saw that he was like that only towards me after a little while. At first, I was kind of taking it like, okay, maybe it's because I'm a new instructor, so let me just observe and see how he acts moving forward. then new instructors came in, and I realized, I was the only female, and he was treating me different compared to everyone else. And then we had more females come in, a couple more female instructors, and uh, they ended up making him the boss of the force fitness side when he was actually supposed to be only a part of the martial arts side. And so he didn't even know much about what we were teaching. So he would just downplay the way I taught instead of what I was teaching. And the way he did it was just so condescending that at first I was just taking it, and then after a little while I was like, I'm not gonna take this. Like, we're the same rank, and just because you're kind of a billet higher than me, you're not gonna talk to me like this. You can do constructive criticism, and I'm fine with that. But it just became this whole like male versus female thing, and I was trying to handle it in house and just handle it, and he ends up reporting me to the EO saying that yeah, he reports me to the EO saying that I'm harassing him when all I was doing was sticking up for myself and the other females that were there.
Wow.
um yeah, because he was even showing signs of he was very covert about it. He would only just find ways, basically reasons, to give counselings to the female students, um, or to kind of downplay the female instructors. And so it was just crazy. And the thing is, since he was like highly revered, having being like I think he was a fourth degree black belt instructor trainer. And so they highly revered him. So whatever he was telling them, they were believing the command, basically the CO and all that. And so I ended up getting in trouble for something I felt like I didn't do, and that kind of changed my view for a little while of the Marine Corps. And I feel like at first I had like a kind of like a disdain, but then I kind of realized after leaving that command, getting out of the Marine Corps, and leaving a toxic relationship at the same time, there was a lot of subconscious patterns I was running on that I actually needed to take a full accountability of myself, and realize that those patterns actually kind of amplified those situations. Because now that I know, like, I've studied the brain and the nervous system and how it actually works, we basically we attract what's familiar and not what's healthy usually. um, and it might not necessarily, I mean, everybody's story is different too. So if I had a very unhealthy childhood, then I didn't realize, like, years later I'm attracting kind of like the same dynamics. And so
And there's a whole there was a show just dedicated to stuff like that, Oprah, who would
oh
show
yeah.
women who just would keep going back to that same relationship over and over. It might be in a different person, but it was the
Hmm.
same relationship over and over and over because it was familiar. It's the thing they
Yeah.
thought that they wanted. And as humans, we do that. We go back to what's comfortable, where we
Hmm.
think we're comfortable, even though it's horrible for us. We go to it, and I think that's what you were witnessing in that, and also that I'm pretty sure that that fellow Marine probably never was around female Marines, or
Hmm.
never really, or had a bad experience with one way earlier in his career, and he took it out
Hmm.
on everyone along the way. It's a shame that that's still happening, even in the 2020s.
Yeah, the crazy thing is now that I look back, knowing what I know now, I remember him saying that he had like kind of like mother issues growing up, and then he also said he basically never worked with female Marines before me. I was the first female he worked with, and so he was taking out a lot of his subconscious patterns on me, and then I was doing the same thing. So what I was doing wasn't making anything better, because I was kind of fighting fire with fire. And so now I realize, now I've learned better ways to, to deal with people that are in their patterns. Um, and I've learned how to kind of get out of my own patterns, and like basically catch my patterns and make a different choice. And I've had a lot of experience because I have to co-parent with my son's father still, And so that situation was very hostile at first, and it was very a high conflict divorce situation. And I've actually I attest definitely to my inner work. Like it's to a place now where um, we can co-parent healthily for our son. You know, we're able to, and I had to learn how to set a lot of boundaries because I had never learned that. Like growing up as a child, my boundaries were consistently like pushed over, so I never learned how to set boundaries or even what boundaries were. And so this situation kind of taught me how to better set boundaries. And I look at everything now as like I'm thankful for the situations that I went through now because I see the learning lesson from it all, looking back at it.
Definitely. And I think when I was reading your bio and your website, you mentioned survival mode a lot. And I think that's kind of what we were just talking about. You were doing things, just staying within that zone, staying with that comfort zone with survival mode because you learned it at an early age to be a survivor and
Hmm.
got through the core as a survivor. And you talk about it a lot in your bio, I say. And how do people recognize they're living in that mode when they're convincing themselves they're simply being strong?
Hmm. Yeah, so it's hard to know that you're even in it because I didn't know I was in survival mode my pretty much my whole life. And it really starts with like are you constantly beating yourself up? Are you constantly worried about bills? Are you constantly worried about a relationship or what they're, you know, what the other person's doing? Like all these different things can put you in that fight or flight mode, which I call that's what like survival mode is when your body goes into fight or flight response, but our bodies aren't meant to stay in that in that response. Like the funny thing is that animals instinctively know how to get themselves out of the fight or flight mode. They just shake it off. They shake the energy off basically once they're finished. But humans were never taught that. So now they're coming out with a lot more science to actually show like, hey, like everyone, we're all made out of energy. And um, basically when we suppress emotions and when we are constantly, you know, replaying the same trauma situations out in our mind, our body is stuck in survival mode and it creates disease in our body. And we're meant to like release them correctly. Like you can, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different tools and ways to release this energy. Like anytime, I've learned anytime I've actually, so at first I've taught myself how to feel again. Like for the longest time, I just suppressed my emotions. Like I was like, oh, I'm this hard Marine. I can't cry. And so I spent a long time not crying, hey, leave him alone. Sorry, my son's messing with the cat.
Oh, it's like you're beating up another child. Oh, man.
Yeah. but, but yeah, now I just lost my train of thought.
Staying tough in the Marines.
Oh yeah, just like not allowing myself to cry, not allowing myself. I held a lot of stuff in, so this was a pattern I had was I would hold stuff in a lot to where I would get to the point where I'd blow up. Like when I was on recruiting duty, I held so much stuff in. There was one time I ended up blowing up on my boss, on
Oh,
on everybody because I was like, F this. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, and like I don't know, it was just the end of the road for me. And everything changed though. Like once I actually like got that out and released it, it was almost like everyone was like, okay, well, why don't you just take the rest of the day off? Just relax and come back tomorrow. Like we still need you here. And I was like, no, you guys keep threatening my career, so just get me get me out of here. And so I feel like from that plus the, you know, that leader that kind of spoke to me on recruiting duty, I kind of just changed my whole attitude around. But I realized over time that holding stuff in, that was even something I would do in that relationship. I would hold stuff in and act like everything was all cool, and it was, and I realized that was a pattern that kept me safe as a child. Like just holding stuff in and not speaking my feelings because my feelings got me reprimanded or, just different things like that. So we kind of learn to hold this stuff in. Some people do. Some people have other responses, um, but my response was definitely to hold things in until they got so much where I'd blow up. And at the end of that relationship, I was definitely like blowing up, and I wasn't handling things, in a regulated way.
I think a lot of people in general, they'll do that. They'll hold it in until they explode. There's a movie about the guy in LA who just he snaps one day and just goes on the killing spree in LA once someone gets on his nerves. He bottled everything up for so long and lets it all go. And you see it in the military, you see a lot of people that try to not get in trouble, don't want to get in trouble, don't want to get in trouble. And one day that last person just gets over the line, steps over the line, and triggers that landmine. And the next thing you know, that insane soldier, Marine, Airman going ballistic for any amount of time, and you have to try to walk them back from that wall, walk them back from the ledge, and get them back to the center. And it's hard. It's hard for
Yeah.
anybody to do that.
Once they're at that, yeah. Some people snap and they're kind of like, they don't even know what's going on.
They don't even realize they snapped. And
Yeah.
they just think they're still doing this. I'm still the same happy person. And next thing you know, you're not really happy, and things are ugly at this point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So a lot of those people that are like, "Oh, I'm chill," like usually they're not speaking their true feelings, and it's because they learned, at a young age to just keep their feelings in, and I know men especially are taught to like suppress your emotions, like don't cry, you got to man up. But science actually shows that crying actually releases cortisol, and cortisol, my big cat, but cortisol is actually like the stress hormone in your body. And so when you're crying, you're actually releasing that stress hormone from your body. And then just there's just different things, different ways that you can kind of release energy. You can like dance, you could just move around. I have this thing with my son. I tell him like, let's shake out the sillies. So we'll just shake out the sillies, and it's really just kind of like getting all that energy, whatever was stressing or making you angry, making you sad. There's a lot of different tools and things that you can do to kind of discharge the energy. Um, so
Especially a young man like that down there, he has the energy all day. It just doesn't go
hmm
away until somehow at night he probably passes out. And you're like, oh wow, how'd that happen? Starts the next day.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has so much energy that you know, the fact that I've been able to kind of experiment with these tools and things on him as well and see like what works and what doesn't work. I'm always experimenting with these tools and just seeing what works for me, what works for him. And I have written another book that I'm coming out with. I'm actually publishing it in August, and it's called, this is the kind of like just a sketch of the cover,
Got me. It's,
but yeah, it's called I've Got Me, and the subtitle is Healing Your Nervous System, Building Secure Attachment, and Coming Home to Yourself. So it's really like a neuroscience backed guide to rewiring survival patterns into secure attachment. And I've realized that that you can have there's all these different attachment styles that we have from childhood, whether it's anxious attachment style, avoidant attachment style, disorganized, and then there's secure. A lot of people don't have a secure attachment style, but some people do. Some people grew up with parents that were able to kind of like model that for them. Um, but I think some people, science used to think that you were just stuck the way you, the way you grew up. But now they're starting to see like you can actually rewire these patterns and bring yourself more into a secure attachment, which is what I've been able to do over the last. I feel like actively I've been doing that over the last 2 years.
Before you got out, did you already start studying some of this stuff, or was it really right after you got out? You said, "I got to fix this."
So I did kind of. I was always interested in psychology and like human behavior, why people do the things they do, and I understood a lot of things like from psychology and neuroscience intellectually. But there's a difference between like intellectually understanding something and actually like embodying it. And I didn't realize that until I actually went through this process over the last 2 years. Carl Jung, he's a famous psychologist. He calls it individuation. And I feel like I've been going through this individuation process over the last 2 years where I'm shedding a lot of the patterns that don't serve me, that I acquired in childhood and throughout the Marine Corps, and shedding it and becoming more of who I'm meant to be, like more of my actual essence. And I've seen a huge change in myself and my relationships, whether it's like friendships, um, even like in the dating field. Like I have attracted, and I am more attracted to healthier people, better quality people, and so I've seen a big difference in my in just what I'm even attracted to in doing this work.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like people. I feel like a lot of guys always ask, like, why are girls into the bad guys and not into the good guys? But there's a science to that. They're really seeking out the familiarity, like all those butterflies and all those things. Like I realized you feel an attraction, but it's not necessarily the healthiest thing, and you don't even realize until you're like 2 years in, and you're like, oh shoot, like why did this person change? But the thing is, a lot of times, and this was something I did. A lot of times we romanticize, where we see somebody as a higher version of who they are, but we're not staying in the present moment to see where they actually are. So after a couple of years, that true version comes out, after the honeymoon phase and things like that. Um, but it's also possible. I've seen two people build secure attachment within each other. Um, like my sister and her husband. I don't think she even knew that. I don't think she knew that she used to be like a disorganized attachment style, and then she just ended up through, dating a couple people, and then meeting the person she married. They were able to kind of build that secure attachment with each other.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to like what we talked about earlier with relationships, where people just go back to that same person, even though it's not the same human, but the same
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. And then, like you said, 2 years later, you're still wondering, well, how did I get in this situation again? Which
Mm-hmm.
you weren't deviating from any of the plan. You haven't
Mm-hmm.
deviated from the plan that's in your head. You have to go with that one person. You have
Yeah.
to go with that guy who drives in the bad car and smells bad and lays back in the seat all day long, and then want you to drive. And
Yeah. Yeah.
going with the same person, and then wonder why you're not getting any respect in your house or things. And then I'm going to go to this next guy, and it's the same dude, just different clothes. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
never in the loop. It's a bad loop, horrible loop.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I have heard of some people going through that loop many times before they finally, like, changed up the things they were doing um, to find a healthier relationship.
Hopefully, everyone can find that healthy one and not kill themselves along the way.
Yeah, yeah,
Got a couple
exactly. I
questions
know
from
a lot of military members. I feel like a lot of military members just had rough childhoods, and so a lot of military members have bad relationships. All these divorces are high in the military. So there's a lot of subconscious patterns that people are running on that they don't even realize, and honestly, from what I've learned too, is like uh, you can't force somebody to see their own patterns. Like they have to be ready for it.
you have to be ready for change. And if you're not ready
Hmm.
for it, and it's just like in the veteran sphere, you can't force someone to go get mental health help unless they're ready. You can tell them
Yeah.
all day, you can tell them all day these stuff's out there, but they're not going to go get help until the light goes on up here and says, hey, maybe they're saying something for a reason to me.
Hmm.
Maybe I do need help. Maybe they do want me to be around for a long time. And then that's when the switch comes on. And it's the same thing with the relationship side. Maybe people are
Yeah.
doing this for a reason. Maybe they see something I don't see because you're in there. You have blinders on, really, when you're in those bad situations.
Yeah, you definitely do. Yeah, I have no judgment at all towards people because I know I was in I was in that boat for a while. Like for the longest time, I didn't seek help. I didn't go to therapy or anything because I thought I was fine. I thought I was fine. I was like, well, I didn't realize like things could be better. Things could be better, and I was kind of in denial of my own patterns for a long time. Um, but it definitely, like, sadly, it takes like a crazy situation sometimes or a bad situation for people to wake up and be like, wow, okay,
You don't need to
how
try
do
something
I get myself like how did I get myself in this situation to begin with? And
again. How do I get?
yeah, yeah.
Why do I always go get strawberry ice cream when I hate strawberry ice cream? I don't know. That's the
Yeah,
story.
exactly.
I don't know. We got a couple questions from the audience for you, so let's see what they got for you.
Okay.
This is from at Angelia Ball. What advice would you give to family members trying to support a veteran who refuses to talk about what they're going through? Thank you, Angelia.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a good question because a lot of people don't know what to do. And a lot of the times they don't want the help. And so the best thing that I've learned to do to a veteran that needs help is just to keep letting them know that you're there for them. And honestly, compassion is the biggest thing. Having compassion and even just being a compassionate listener can help any veteran that's going through stuff out there. And I know some people don't want to talk about what they went through. And the honest truth is, you can't force people to tell you. You can't first force people to tell you. You can't force something out of somebody that they don't want to say. So all you can really do is like just let them know that you're there for them, and even show through your actions um, that you are there for them. And and eventually they might end up telling. But I've found that when I get with veterans, when I share my story more vulnerably and am able to speak from now I can speak about the things I've been through without an emotional charge because I've dealt with them, I've faced them, and I ignored them for the longest time. And so now I can speak when I speak more honestly about the things I've been through. I've seen more veterans actually like um, open up to me.
Yep.
So you could even try that, like maybe even because we've all been through things, um, so we can kind of even just kind of speak from our experience and like what we've been through and how we were able to get help and actually get better.
Come out on the other side a little better. You mean not going to be perfect, be a little better, and
Hmm.
a better mindset moving forward. And I think you
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head there. If you share your vulnerability, if you're going through something, trying to get someone to share theirs, if you share that you're vulnerable, share your story, usually that breaks someone's wall down. To maybe open up my heart and say, "This is what's wrong. This is what's going on with me," and I do need to reach forward and listen to you. Maybe I want to stay with you a little longer. Things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Um, because a lot of people just want to feel seen and heard. Even just presence. Just
Yeah.
like people feel like they always have to like fix something when sometimes just presence alone, like true presence can help.
And that's something hard to learn for someone that has to fix things. It's
Hmm.
hard to learn that you can just sit back, relax, and just listen,
Yeah,
just be there for them. It's hard.
that's another subconscious pattern that we create for ourselves, and I'm not like judging any of these patterns because they're all like survival techniques that our body intelligently adapted to keep us safe, to keep us safe in connection, basically, because our bodies need connection with people, like whether we like to think so or not. Like we need connection with people, and so our patterns come from preserving connection. So sometimes we feel like we need to fix things. I was in that mode for a little while when I was in the Marine Corps. Like I was just, you know, the one that everyone can always come to no matter what time. But I realized like that was a pattern of my own where I'm doing all these things for everyone else, but who's doing stuff for me? I wasn't able to receive help from people that much. Every once in a while, I'd had my mentors that I could call, but I wasn't really in a receiving mode.
Definitely. And so we all understand both sides of the thing.
Hmm.
Get that path, that pathway to healing a lot easier.
Yeah,
It just takes some time, takes practice, and maybe just learning to listen, understand what people are saying.
yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people listen to respond; they don't listen to actually understand.
Yes.
And I
Amen.
did that for a while too. I would have a response waiting, you know, like even if I would wait till they were done talking, I still had that response ready. But true listening is just being able to just listen, and actually understand this person's needs, where they're coming from.
And try to
Um,
absorb,
mhm.
absorb what they're saying, and not, like you said, listen to speak, listen to hear, and not listen to speak. I used to have that written
Yeah.
on a board behind my desk when I was working up at Fort Campbell as a civilian. I wrote, listen to hear, not to speak on there. And
Yeah.
there was people in the office that would always, all they would do is listen to keywords and try to one up you and everything you say. And
Mhm.
instead of trying to listen to the whole story or listen to what's going on, they had that jump in and do that. Not one of them
Mhm.
understood why I wrote that on the board, but I kept it on there the whole time just to let them know what's
Mhm.
disturbing what they do.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's another. There's another subconscious pattern where we're over explaining ourselves to be understood, and I used to do that too sometimes. But the I think a lot of us think that that's who we are. And once we realize that these patterns aren't who we truly are, and we can actually like we have the power to change them if we just separate ourselves from the pattern as
Right?
like the observer, if that makes sense. And then we can start to become more aware of it and when we're doing it, and then actually start to rewire it.
It's kind of like have that subconscious feeling when you're outside your body and looking at yourself. When people
Hmm.
speak of like if they had a near death experience or something like that, you can do that on a daily basis. Just kind of sit back and observe, observe
Hmm.
yourself, observe others, and maybe at that point you'll understand there's a whole big world out there that you can affect without doing as much as you have to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you just sit back and observe instead of. I kind of tell myself now like observe instead of absorb, because I used to absorb like all the things that were going on, like whether whether someone was feeling a certain way, like I'd absorb that, and I didn't know I was doing that at the time. But some of us don't realize that, yeah, we can absorb people's energy, and that's why it is important, like the type of people you hang out with, like you're absorbing the energy around you, unless you know how to consciously observe instead of absorb. And that's something most of us don't grow up knowing. Like I had to learn it the hard way. But once I realized it, I ended up going to school. That's why I'm in my master's degree right now, studying. I'm actually studying human consciousness, like the evolution of consciousness, psychology, and transformational leadership. So it's been like amazing, even just like being in the program and learning the different things in there, when it comes to like emotional intelligence, intelligence, and different ways to reconnect with um, yourself basically.
Kind of replug yourself in, and social and emotional intelligence is something I didn't know they existed really. But I didn't know them as words. I didn't know them as a definition. I
Hmm.
knew what I did, the things that meant that those mean. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what empathy was. I didn't use that word in a sentence ever until in the last probably 5 or 6 years. People will still look at me and say, "Oh, empathetic, huh? You're empathetic, huh?" I say, I don't know what it means, but I think I do it pretty well. I think I understand what it is. I just didn't
Yeah.
didn't have to say I'm being empathetic towards you. to make you feel good. I can do all the things that are involved with it. I can understand what you're going through and absorb what you're going through and trying to feel what you're doing and maybe help you find your way out of it without doing too much to make make you feel bad about whatever situation.
Yeah.
Social intelligence that took some learning, like leadership, all took that little roller coaster of life, learning how to understand people, learning your people, and learning where they fit in the whole big scheme of things instead of making them fit in, putting that round peg in the square hole. Put the
Yeah.
round peg in the round hole. Let them do their job. Let them be successful, and let them help you be successful. That's the best way to lead.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I
All
love
right,
that.
I'll get off my stumper now. We do have one more question from the audience here.
Okay.
Do you, not them? Great, Todd. How can someone tell the difference between healthy discipline and living with unresolved trauma? Thank you. Do you?
Oh, that's a good question too, because I used to think that I had a lot of discipline, being able to be a bodybuilder. I was like the no days off type of person, and this is no judgment to the people that are doing that still, because I realized for me that I was in a subconscious pattern um, of needing to perform, needing to. It's like I needed to perform in order to feel loved, and I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know. I just would go. I was like, oh, I'm going to the gym every day. I'm able to bench, like, I'd be able to put a 45 plate on each side, and I got a lot of attention in the gym because of how much weight I was lifting. And I loved it. Like, I loved the attention. I loved the social media. My social media went up to like 10,000 followers on Instagram and Facebook because of the bodybuilding. But I realized that in itself was coming from a pattern of I needed to prove myself all the time. I needed to perform. Nothing was ever good enough, and it never fulfilled me. And so I've had to learn how to actually be more whole in myself, that I am worthy, I am enough. And now I literally don't have a desire like go as hard as I used to. I want to be healthy and balanced, but I don't see the need to like get on stage anymore to get those trophies. For me, and it might be different for other people, but for me it was needing to prove myself. It was needing to get those trophies for that validation.
Takes a little while to get that feeling reversed for yourself. I'm glad
Hmm.
you found the other side of it, and it didn't take you long after getting out of the pool. And
Yeah.
out of those 14 years, plus the years before that, and growing up, it has
Yeah.
a long time to have all this stuff eating you up inside and trying to figure things out. To all of
Yeah.
a sudden, now 3 years after the core, you found you say, look, there is a better way. There are better things
Hmm.
out there. And studying, of course, being a life learner helps you out as much as possible. 'Cause if you're not learning, you're kind of fading away. You got to keep reading, keep learning, and you going for your master's program now. That's going to help you even more. It's going to help your son more because,
Hmm.
like you said, you experiment on him. So
Yeah.
it's going to help him as he grows up as well as he goes into school. And now you can tell his teacher, "Hey, try this when
Yeah. Yeah.
he's doing X. Try this." And
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So
so
I realized that feeling of not being enough and having to prove myself came from childhood. Like, at least for me, it's not me judging my mom, because I understand now that she only knows what she was passed down to her, and she didn't have the tools. People do have choice to want to change, and that's on them. But my mom basically instilled in me that I was never enough. Like, I was never enough. Nothing I ever did was right. And so that's where, like, my drive, I had so much drive in the military. I was a very successful female in the Marines because I needed that. I needed to prove myself. I needed to prove that I was good enough. And so now I've been able to actually instill it in myself that I am perfect and good enough exactly as I am. and we have to start instilling in people that it's you don't have to be perfect. Like mistakes are going to happen, so it shouldn't be, it's, and that's something I'm still working on, because I get triggered with my son. I'm not going to lie. I still get triggered with him, but I understand that um he's still learning life,
Yeah.
and he doesn't know, like, his brain is still developing. So why am I getting upset that he spills something, or that he, all these different things that happen. So I've learned how to even try and regulate myself even better for him, and there are times where I still react, because it was ingrained in me for so long. But what I found is that, like, repair is always gonna, when you are able to own your own stuff and apologize. Like, I apologize to my 3-year-old son for yelling, because I understand that I was just reacting from a wound, my own subconscious wounds. And so I apologize, and we're able to, like, connect like, quick, instead of, like, me just holding a grudge because he spilled something.
Remembering it till he's 18.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, there's so much,
Think something on him.
and there's a lot of stuff that people go through that they're unconsciously taking out on their kids. They're going through things on a daily basis, whether it's like worrying about bills, relationships, and then they're taking it out on their kids and not even knowing.
And that's something that'll just keep that cycle going forever
Mhm.
until they realize that they're doing it and kind of break the cycle. And like what you've learned how to break that cycle. You're starting to break it with them as well, so they can understand it.
Mhm.
All right, so our hour has flown by, Sonya.
Yeah, yeah,
We've had entertainment in the background. We had cats. We had everything going on tonight. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure I kept hearing airplanes. I'm not sure, but
yeah. I live close to an airport too, so.
we have everything right there. It's like an entertainment center. Amazing. That's why I kept muting my mic, so I thought it was here. I was like, is there an airplane on my
Oh,
mic?
yeah.
You have
Every time.
everything going on there. But we did get to talk about a lot of things over this hour. My audience is a lot of veterans, a lot of first responders, and just a lot of great human beings, a lot of other podcasters as well. If they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I would say reach out to me on social media. I am my Facebook is Sonya Achara, and then my Instagram is at Remember Who You Are 222. And you can always reach me there. I also do have my website, sonyaachara.com, where you can actually schedule a call with me on my Calendly. So I do have that on my, because I do want to, I actually want to get myself out there more in order to speak for veterans and first responders. Like, I, I, I'd, I'd be open to speaking for free. I do a master class once a month for free. It's called the Identity Recode Masterclass. And that's basically what I would be speaking about, all these subconscious patterns, relationships, and how to rewire the patterns is what I speak on. So I would definitely do it for free to just get the information out there. Um, right now, I'm kind of just focused on veterans and first responders.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Make sure you check out the Instagram, the Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. We got all the information throughout the show in the comments. So I've been there and appreciate it in the banner. But no, you don't have to chart it. It is. On your last question I have for you. What's 3 things the Misfit Nation, our audience, can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
So 3 things that we should start doing tomorrow to be better people. I would say, one, like, start taking accountability for your own actions and your own feelings. Because a lot of us think that, like, somebody else made us feel a certain way, but normally these feelings are coming from unconscious wounds that we could be looking at. Um, like, humbling ourselves for sure. And then definitely, like, you are more powerful than you know, and a lot of times we are giving away our power by blaming things and other people. And when we start to realize that we have a lot of power when we change our inner states, we're able to change our inner states. We'll actually be able to see a big difference in what's happening around us and our relationships, and able to actually connect more in a more meaningful way.
Pretty good one. Take accountability. Be humble. There's you do have that power to Sonya, thank you in this house, hanging out with us, sharing your knowledge.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last couple of things you said because of my son.
Yeah, a little loud.
But I heard be humble. I do feel like humility is a huge thing, because a lot of us tend to get more. And I've done it in the past. I've been egoic, like I've been in my ego, and all of us do it because we all have an ego. We all have a kind of like a higher self, I would call it. We have our higher self is more compassionate, more loving, more humble. And so when we can start to even speak to ourselves in a more humble way and speak to others, we can start to, I feel like I wasn't able to show love to people until I was able to love myself, you know.
That's usually the first step. And really help others yourself. Sonya, thank you again for hanging out tonight. Thanks for giving me the entertainment. And I look forward to seeing the great things you do in the future.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, MisFitNation. Hope you got something tonight. Had a great time with Sonya and learned. Take some of the information, eat it, hoard it like you're and then do something with it. Remember, if the darkness is coming in on you, stop. Take a breath. Phone a friend. Reach in your wallet. Dial 988. Ask for help. Reach in there and talk to those people that are on your wallet. Those 3 names. Talk to them and say, hey, I want to be here tomorrow. I want you to be there with me. And they want you here too. Because the day tomorrow with you is 100% better than one without you. Till next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling. Because we are.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.